Please subscribe to Counsel of Regret, and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Now, let's begin. I've been handling estates for 37 years. Not the kind you read about. The kind that sit in probate for 18 months because nobody thought to update a beneficiary form. The kind where siblings stop speaking before the funeral is over. I don't do this work because I believe in legacy. I do it because someone has to file the paperwork when belief isn't enough. You think you're leaving something behind. Most of you are leaving a mess with your name on it. Not because you're careless, because you're certain, and certainty is expensive in ways you won't see until the bill comes due. I turned 59 last month. My daughter hasn't spoken to me in 4 years, not because of money, because I assumed she understood things I never said out loud. I was wrong. That's not the point of this. The point is I should have known better, and I didn't. People come to me when it's already late. They bring documents they haven't read in 20 years. Trusts set up when the kids were small and the marriage was different. Beneficiary designations that still list an ex-spouse because no one explained that divorce doesn't automatically update your retirement account. They think the will controls everything. It doesn't. The will is the last thing that matters. Everything with a beneficiary form moves outside the will. Your IRA, your life insurance, your pension. If you listed someone in 1998 and never changed it, that's where the money goes, not where you think it should, where the form says. I've seen adult children get nothing because their father never updated a form after his second marriage. I've seen second wives get everything because the trust was never funded. Funded doesn't mean signed, it means retitled. If you created a trust but never moved the assets into the trust name, you created paperwork, not protection. The house is usually the problem. You bought it together, one of you dies. The survivor thinks they own it outright. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they own half and the other half goes through probate with every other asset. Depends how the deed reads. Most people don't know how their deed reads. If it says joint tenants with right of survivorship, it transfers clean. If it says tenants in common, it doesn't. That's the difference between a 30-day process and a $30,000 problem. One phrase. I had a client 2 years ago. Widow, 71, husband died without a will. They owned the house as tenants in common. She thought she inherited it. She inherited half. The other half went to his kids from his first marriage. They wanted to sell. She wanted to stay. Nobody won. That's what happens when you confuse assumptions with arrangements. People do the same thing with their children. They think equal means fair. It doesn't. One child lives 3 hours away and hasn't called in 2 years. One child managed your medications and drove you to every appointment. You split everything 50-50 because that's what parents do. The one who showed up doesn't say anything. Not to you, they won't forget. Or you do the opposite. You give more to the one who helped. Now the other one contests, says you were unduly influenced, says you weren't competent. Maybe you were, doesn't matter. They're not arguing with you. You're gone. They're arguing with each other using your money to pay the lawyers. I've billed 400 hours on a case like that. The estate paid me, not the kids, the estate, which means I got paid before they got anything. That's the part people don't think about. Every month in probate is another month of legal fees, another appraisal, another filing, another hearing. The estate doesn't grow during probate, it shrinks. You also think your kids want your things. They don't. They want the money, maybe the house if it's in a place they'd actually live. Everything else is a burden with sentimental weight. Your dishes, your furniture, your collections, they don't want them. They don't have room. They don't have the same taste. They'll take a few things out of guilt and sell the rest for whatever they can get. I've watched families argue for 6 months about who gets the china and then donate it because no one actually wanted it. They just didn't want the other person to have it. That's what grief looks like in my office. It looks like inventory. Then there's the stuff you didn't tell anyone about. The account in your name only, the storage unit, the safe deposit box. If no one knows it exists, it sits there, sometimes for years. Banks don't go looking for heirs, they wait for someone to ask. I had a case where we found an account 4 years after the death. $14,000 just sitting. The beneficiary form was blank. It went through probate, cost $3,000 in fees to release 11. You think you're being private, you're being invisible. There's a difference. And if you were married, you need to be very clear about what you want, because the law has defaults and your spouse has rights and your kids have expectations. All three rarely align. Community property states are different from common law states. What you own before marriage is different from what you acquired during. What you promised your kids is different from what your spouse is entitled to. I've seen second spouses get everything by operation of law and stepchildren get nothing. Both sides surprised, both sides angry. The deceased thought it was handled. It wasn't. That's the thing about handled. It requires specificity. You can't handle something by meaning well. If you want your kids to inherit the house has to be titled correctly, or the trust has to say so, and the trust has to own it. If you want them to get your retirement account, they have to be listed. If you want your spouse to have access but your kids to inherit, you need a disclaimer trust or a QTIP. You can't want it into existence. People also underestimate how much their kids already know. They know about the affair. They know about the money you lent their brother. They know about the promises you made when you'd been drinking. They don't bring it up while you're alive because they don't want the fight. After you die, there's no reason to stay quiet. That's when I hear everything. In conference rooms with bad lighting and stale coffee, I hear what you said, what you did, what you didn't do. I hear who you really were when no one was performing. And none of it is actionable. It's just context for why they're fighting over a number that wouldn't change their lives even if they got all of it. $100,000 after tax and legal fees, and splitting it 3 ways is not generational wealth. It's $30,000 each. It's a car. It's debt reduction. It's 6 months of breathing room if they're careful. But they'll spend 2 years fighting about it because it's not about the money. It's about being right, about being valued, about evening a score you didn't know you were keeping. I also see a lot of parents who think their estate plan is an instruction manual for after they're gone. It's not. It's a legal document that distributes assets. It doesn't make your kids be fair to each other. It doesn't make them remember you the way you want to be remembered. It doesn't repair anything. If they don't get along now, your death will make it worse, not better. You think leaving them something together will unite them. It won't. It'll force them into a partnership they didn't choose. Now they have to agree on when to sell, what to accept, how to split expenses. They couldn't agree on where to have Thanksgiving. Now they own real estate together. The smarter move is to divide before you die. Sell what needs selling, distribute what can be distributed, make it clean. But most people won't, because that requires admitting you're preparing to die, and Americans don't do that until they have to. By the time they have to, they can't. They're in a facility, or they're confused, or they're too sick to sign, and now everything they didn't do becomes someone else's emergency. Their kids, their spouse, me. And we do our best with what's left, but we're working backward. We're guessing at intent, we're filing motions, we're paying fees, we're turning your life into line items. There's no drama to this, it just happens. Every week, in every city, in offices that smell like furniture polish and old paper. Your kids won't hate you, that's too simple. They'll hate what you left them to manage, the ambiguity, the silence, the things you could have clarified and didn't. They'll hate that you trusted them to figure it out and they can't, because figuring it out requires agreeing, and they stopped agreeing years ago. I'm not here to tell you what to do, that's not my job. My job is to file the documents once the decisions have already been made. The rest is up to you.